once upon a time, and I wasn't even a baby writer, so I can't even blame that on it. I said that I didn't ever see myself writing middle grade, and now I look like a fool. So essentially, a lot of middle grade that I had read as an adult or kind of taken a look at used what I call baby voice. So this is when they say the character is 12, but they talk and act like they're 9 or 10, which for me writing is way too young. I really can't write that young. And so I was resistant to doing middle grade. So I wrote this Caribbean high fantasy as young adult. I have a link over here to a writing vlog I did when I was working on it. And one of my CPs, Jess, wonderful, they're a wonderful CP, suggested, what if you wrote this as middle grade? And I was like, nah, because I don't want to do no baby voice. So not going to do it. And I was like, okay. And then recently I sent my agent an email with updates about my projects, and she said, what do you think about doing that high fantasy as middle grade? And I was like, I'm gonna think about it. And I decided to read some middle grade books, some recent ones, so that I could really be more in touch with the age category, because I hadn't really read a lot of middle grade books. Ones I had read recently were A Monster Calls, which had a heavier subject matter. So in my head, I didn't think of it as being really middle grade because it was different, though I loved it to pieces. And then I started reading some recent middle grade, and I was like, oh, this is different. Like, I feel like this is that TikTok thing where they're like, ooh, that shit be hitting different. That is exactly how I felt. And I was just blown away. And my brain went, oh, Liselle, you have been so very wrong. You can definitely do middle grade, or at least try middle grade. So that is that is the title of this, and why it's like, oh, I guess I write middle grade now, because my Caribbean high fantasy always felt a little bit off. It's very different from the rest of my YA. It's not as dark. It doesn't have any real romance. It's very focused solely on friendship. It's bright, happy colors, and nobody gets maimed. Nobody is decapitated. Nobody is stabbed. It's real weird for me. And it always felt strange. Every time I did an edit, even though my agent was loving it, even though my CP was loving it, I had this nagging thing in the back of my head that said, oh, this isn't fitting right. This isn't fitting into how I do YA. And originally when I wrote it, I had wanted to make the characters younger, but there's that weird thing in YA where it's very difficult to make and sell a YA book when you've aged the characters in something that's like 14 or 15. You kind of have to go 16 or 17, which had felt a bit too old, but I didn't know how to fix that or make that better. And now as I've been thinking about it, I was like, middle grade. It fits a lot better as a middle grade book. The themes are a lot more focused to a middle grade experience, and quite honestly, I always wanted to age them younger, and now that's what I'm working on. So things I gotta do for this book. One, I only edited it halfway before I got distracted, and so I need to figure out how I'm gonna be doing those edits for a middle grade book. Two, I gotta go back and I have to edit everything I already edited to make it fit for middle grade. And three, it's too long. It's 80,000 words at my halfway edits, and I know that I would have added 10,000 more words if I did my edits all the way to the end. So now I also have to make everything shorter. But still develop the characters as much as I needed to. So that's my task, and I'm going to be working on this for February. And I know I said I was going to work on this book for the whole of February, but I know in my brain, because I'm ridiculous, that my brain is already like, what if we did it in 15 days instead of 28? So today I'm going to work on figuring out what the fuck I'm going to be doing with this book. And yeah, and shortening it. I don't know. I just gotta figure out what I'm doing because I have no plan. And I need a plan because today is February 1st and I'm supposed to be starting editing today. So I got to get something done.
Okay, so I've gone through all my revision notes and I've decided I'm going to do the same revisions that I always plan to do unless they like deviate from the age grouping, like they make it more YA than MG, though none of my edits are like that. They're all kind of just like character development edits. So that's perfect. So I'm going to do those same edits. And I'm just going to make everything shorter. So it's going to have the same number of chapters it was always going to have, but less. And I've put together a schedule. It is quite rigorous because the first 15 chapters I had already edited. And so I just need to go through those and I need to cut them down. And I also need to make sure that the voice is right for MG, which I don't think will be too difficult. Like the voice is already like a bit younger than it technically was meant to be for YA, so I don't think that'll be a huge deal. I think the bigger struggle will be actually cutting down things, but I've set a schedule. So those first 15 chapters I had already done, so my schedule is to go through those in the first 3 days so that I will be done these edits on the 13th of February, right before Valentine's Day. So I don't know how truly possible this is. I am so very extra. And so I always make myself like very tight deadlines like this for no reason. Like there's nobody waiting for this, but somehow I am like this anyway. And I kind of like to crack down for shorter periods of time anyway. So I'm going to try and do this. So today I have to go through the first 5 chapters. I got to get every chapter down to 2,000 words at least to make sure that I have a 70,000 word count in the end, which is what I'm aiming for. So I'm gonna go through that. I'm just finishing up editing some videos and then I'm gonna go ahead and do this writing or editing.
I've washed my hair now. It's got a bunch of product in it. That's why it's like got that white cast on it. It'll go away. But anyway, now you can see my hair. So I thought I could cut. I entered in a few new chapters to address some feedback I'd gotten from my agent, which was that 2 kind of secondary characters weren't as fleshed out as they should be, which I agreed with. And so I added a set of like, I want to say 4, maybe 5 chapters that I needed to write in. I think I've only written actually 2 so far from doing my edits before to help evolve those characters. And I thought maybe I can clip out this one, and then I read it and I was like, nope. So I think I've kind of given up on that word count goal for now. I really can't manage it right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just continue doing all of my edits and it'll be as long as it is. And I'll cut things if they're like very clearly unnecessary. But like if I can't cut it, then I guess I'll just leave it for now and see how that goes. And it'll just be the length that it ends up being because it's like impossible for me to cut this down right now. So I'm just gonna let it be its own thing. Hopefully it at least won't be longer than 80,000 words, and that's at least a better starting point. But then I can send that to my agent and maybe we'll be able to figure out a way to cut down together. I was having trouble kind of making better sense of my notes because I made these notes for my first pass of like my agent notes, and it was a while ago, and I was like, you know what, I'll go back and I'll revisit all the notes and I'll make a new set of revision notes just to help me like figure out what I'm doing a little bit more. Things were starting to feel a little, kind of disjointed. But anyway, I looked back at all the notes and I thought about what I wanted to do. And I think I need to cut everything from the midpoint on. So like just get rid of half of the book. 'Cause there's just like a big plot hole. There's a big chunk of the story that given the fact that like something is true doesn't make any sense anymore. So basically I like have all these gods and I have this group of people that don't believe in them, but then I have them doing a bunch of stuff that you would kind of only do if you did believe in them, and that's from like the midpoint on, and I'm realizing that really doesn't work. It doesn't work because they wouldn't do that stuff if they didn't believe. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. Because I don't know that I can edit tomorrow morning if I have no idea what I'm going to do to fix this. So yeah, it's like a little bit stressful because I just like now I don't know what to do. I just like don't know how to fix it. So now I have to sit here and think about how to fix it. I wrote a new chapter, so I did succeed in writing my new chapter, but now I guess that chapter is still usable, but in the grand scheme of things, I no longer know what's going on. And so I gotta figure that out. To the jolly old grocery store. I don't have a car anymore, so I have this like backpack I got from work that I use, and another reusable bag that I use, and all of my reusable products bags. So I'm gonna do that. So far I'm 10 chapters into editing, which like sounds really impressive for 2 days, but actually what's occurring is I'm just going through and just adding the little like bits and pieces that I'm supposed to add. So I'm not reading each chapter, I'm literally just like whisking through it until I find where I need to insert something, and then I'm just inserting it and just moving on. And chapters where I haven't made a note that I need to insert anything, which is mostly the beginning chapters, I don't have anything to do, so I just skip over them. So that's why it seems fast. So I'm doing that. I think today is the first day I have to actually rewrite a chapter. I've tried to give myself a lot of leeway, so if I have to rewrite a chapter, I'm really only editing like another 1 or 2 chapters, or if I have to do a brand new chapter, all I have to do that day is do the brand new chapter. I find that if I have to edit and write a chapter, it just takes so long. I'm currently sitting at like 60,000 words. So I have like 10,000 words of leeway. I have to write 6 new chapters. I'm going to try and make the chapters 2,000 words, but I have a bad habit of making them 3,000. So I'm going to really try to keep them at 2,000 words so that I can hit the 70,000 word count, or at least like be like slightly over, like be like 75,000. I feel like I could cut down to 70 with like relative ease just by cutting out filler words and stuff. But if it's like 80,000, like I feel like I'm going to be so fucked. Like, I don't want to deal with that. So we'll see. Today, I finally got into writing new chapters. I am stressed. I'm stressed because I was all right. It's so funny because I just filmed a vlog / writing routine video, and I talked about how calm I was feeling and how good I was feeling, and now I'm suddenly very stressed because of my word count, which has been the tone of my stress for this entire revision vlog. My word count is stressing me out. I just feel like there's no way I can make this book 70,000 words. I feel like at most I can manage 80, but I don't know. Maybe that will change, but right now I just wrote one new chapter today. I was supposed to make it 2,000 words. It ended up being 2,500, and it's so bare bones. I have almost no description in it, so I'm gonna have to add that in. And I know at this point I really shouldn't be worrying about word count. That should be something I worry about when I do my final read through, but I am feeling pressed about it because I don't know how I can cut it down without cutting out integral parts of the full plot. So that continues to be my stress. It is Friday the 14th. I wanted to say Friday the 13th, but that's incorrect. It is Friday the 14th. It is Valentine's Day. I did take today off to hang out with my boyfriend, but he ended up having to work. So I have extra writing time now and time to hang out with the dogs. So today I'm writing the first fully brand new chapter. Every other chapter I've been writing since I restarted this rewrite has been essentially Frankensteining together some elements that I had in the past and then adding some new things to them. And this is the first chapter that's completely brand new. So I'm going ahead with that. I think I'm doing good on word count. I think it'll actually effectively only be 2,000 words, which is great for me. 2,000 words or a little bit less because I can add more words when I go through my read through, but I'm just kind of focused on getting things done right now. And I only have one chapter that I'm working on each day, either rewriting it or writing it from scratch, which is nice. And then I'm going to try and edit some videos while my boyfriend is at work, and then I'll have them up later on. So that's good. I've been going through this thing lately where a lot of my videos have been kind of bombing, analytically bombing. They aren't doing as well as some of my other videos, and I'm really working on not getting so caught up in that. I think especially because I work in social media, I have this feeling of things needing to be successful when really the whole goal of this channel was to catalog my journey and also to help out other people. And even if my video doesn't do amazing, if it's still helpful for people or helpful for me in framing my journey, then that's really enough. And I'm trying to be less concentrated on feeling that I have to reach certain goals or build up my channel really quickly or become this huge Authortuber, because I don't really need to. And honestly, it just causes stress to think about it that way. So I'm trying to get more away from that, focus in on just making videos that I like, that I think will help other people, and essentially working on my books. So gonna do that today. It is basically halfway through the month, so I'm now halfway through the project, and I'm feeling a little bit tired, but I'm still feeling hopeful, and I think this is gonna be good when it's done. Today is Saturday and I have some updates. So I was reading through, I'm doing my read through now. I'm halfway. I just passed the halfway point on my read through, and I started to feel like something was off or something was missing, and it felt like it didn't feel as fun as other middle grades I've read.
And I was wondering, well, other middle grades I've read and liked a lot. A lot of the middle grades that I've enjoyed have had a really kind of fun, voicey feeling to them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the voice necessarily, but it did feel a bit off, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And now I'm wondering if it's because I've written this in first present tense, which works great for young adult, but a lot of the middle grade I've been reading are third person past tense. So now you see my dilemma. Originally what I had done, I went through this full-blown panic and I was like, okay, now I gotta rewrite this entire thing in third person past after I do all my edits in first person present. And I started doing a chapter in third person past and I was like, wow, this is taking a very long time. This is way more work than it seemed like it was going to be originally. So my new game plan, I'm going to continue to edit the whole thing in first person present. And I'm going to write 2 chapters. I was originally going to do the whole first act, but I'm not. I'm going to write 2 chapters in third person past. And when I send the whole manuscript to my agent, I'm also going to send her the 2 chapters in third person past and ask her what she thinks is better. Because if she reads it and she's like, your first person present is fine, the voice is fine, don't worry about it, then whatever. But if she reads the third person past and she's like, okay, this is actually better, you should do that instead, then that's fine. But what I want to avoid is spending all this time rewriting the whole thing in third person past just for her to tell me, what are you talking about? First person present is fine. Because I've gotten to that point in revising where I don't know, I've read it too many times. I can't tell if anything is good anymore. I've lost all connection to it. And I'm doing it and I'm like, oh, this is fun and this is kind of fun, but I can't tell anymore. And I think I just need someone else to read it and just tell me. So before I go running off, spending a bunch of time trying to make the whole thing third person past, I'm just going to send her those sample chapters and see what she thinks. Because the last thing I want to do is rewrite the whole thing in third person past and then have her be like, this is weird. So that's where I'm at right now. Today is a harder day. I always try to keep my eyes on my own paper and to not get distracted by what's happening with other people, especially in debut groups. Like, things happen at such different times for people, and it's easy to get caught up in, oh, this person's getting this, and why hasn't that happened to me yet? And this person's getting this, and why hasn't that happened to me yet? And I'm in that mode this morning because I really haven't been doing anything. But yeah, I'm not feeling super energetic this morning. It's a bit difficult because the goalposts always move, right? Like when I was a querying writer, I was impatient to get an agent, and then once I had an agent, I was impatient to get on sub, and then I was impatient to get a book deal, and now I'm impatient for all the other things that come around the book deal and looking at other people's shit when I should be concentrating on my own shit, because everything will happen in its own individual time. But it is so easy to get wrapped up in that sort of thing. So that's what I'm working with this morning, but gotta get stuff done, and I'm working from home today, so I really gotta get it done because I gotta start work soon. So today is the last day. I know, felt like I would never reach this. I remember when I started this revision, I thought it was going to take me 2 weeks tops to do it, and it has taken basically the full month instead. So goes to show you can't predict everything. But today is the last day. I did some of my read through this morning, and I have 4 chapters to read through, and I basically did 2 3/4. So I basically have 1 chapter and a quarter left to read through, and then I'll be done my read through. And Kevin from Kevlandia and Laura from Laura Writes are doing their
their Thursday weekly live stream. And so I'm going to use that live stream time to do my filler word deletion. I want to find a bunch of filler words, like do like a search and get rid of a ton of them. One, because that'll help cut down my word count, and two, because that'll help the prose be cleaner. So that's what I'm gonna do, and then I'll be done. I am at this point where I think maybe the voice is off, but I also don't know if I'm just being hard on myself. And so I really do want my agent to see it. I don't want to keep trying to do things with the voice and keep trying to do all this stuff if in fact the voice is accurate and feels accurate. It's hard for me with middle grade because there are these two kind of levels of middle grade. There's an upper middle grade voice and there's a lower middle grade voice. And sometimes they both end up being used for someone that's the same age. And I think mine is tending towards upper. That's really the feeling I'm more connected with. But I'm wondering if it's still to YA, if it's still feeling YA, even though for me it feels a lot younger than that. I'm not really sure. So I'm going to finish off this edit and I'm going to send it to my agent and I will let her be the judge. And I'm done. It feels a little anticlimactic because I finished and I felt I like read my last line. I felt really like, yeah. And then I went through and I did all the filler word deletion and it just slowed my roll down so much. But I'm finished this revision. It is too long. I know that it's too long. I'm still not sure whether the third or first person is better. So when I send it to my agent, I'll let them read it. I'll let Christy read it. And I'll get comments from her about how I've changed the characters and the plots, and if the voice feels right for that age group, and if it feels like it fits properly in middle grade. And I'll get her opinion on whether it should be third person or first person, and then I'll really know. And I'll get her expertise of the industry about the length, and then also I think I'll be able to ask her if it is too long, what she thinks can kind of be done away with in order to make it shorter. So I know it's not perfect, but it is like as perfect as I can get it without more feedback. I need feedback to know if I've really gotten this voice on point, because while I think it fits, I don't know, maybe it doesn't. I really need to get that opinion. I do feel like it feels like upper MG. From the upper MG that I've read, I think it feels like it's properly in that realm. I think maybe some more tweaking to like add more humor to the voice, but again, I don't know if it needs that or if that's just something I feel like I need to force into it because of some of the ones that I've read. But I'll get all her opinion back about it. The distance will also help me have a bit more objectivity when it comes to the work, though I don't know how objective you can truly be about your writing, but I think being away from it for a bit will also help me with that as well. So yes, I'm done, and thank you for watching this writing vlog. What are you working on now? Comment and share that if you've ever worked on a middle grade and you have any tips as to how you decided whether you were hitting on the right voice. I'm very open to hearing those. And thank you again for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to me already, please subscribe. And for the third time in this very short window, thank you so much for watching. Bye.